This question is asking me to determine the variable costs, per unit and the fixed costs. So we're going to do that, and this is going to be using the high-low method in this calculation. So we're going to use the high-low method. Anytime we're using the high-low method, what we need to do when we are using the high-low method, we're going to look at the levels of production. They gave us 3 levels of production. They gave us the 2160, 5760, and 4360. High-low method is what we need to use. So we're going to grab the 2160 and the 5760. That's my high and low. I'm going to take those and list them, and I'm going to find my differences so that I can determine the estimated fixed cost and the estimated variable cost per unit that's being produced. I'm going to list the 5760, and I'm going to list the low of 2160. Their corresponding costs, so that's the related costs associated with those levels of production, 6,800, and at the lower level 388,800. What I'll do is I'll find the difference between these two numbers by simple subtraction. That looks like 3,600 units, and 604,800 minus 388,800 looks like 216,000. So I've determined that with the increase in production of 3,600 units, the increase in cost is 216. Let's keep in mind the two basic functions we've listened or heard about this chapter. Fixed costs remain the same, so fixed costs would have nothing to do with that increased cost. Therefore, it has to be all variable costs. I can determine the variable cost per unit, which remains consistently the same for each unit by simple division. So I'm going to take the 216,000, divide it by 3,600, and it looks like it's $60 per unit. So my variable cost is going to be $60 per unit. My fixed cost then I can determine by calculating what is the total variable cost at either the high or the low level of production. So I can multiply that $60 times the number of units. I'm going to come over here, and I would take, let's take the low, 2160 times 60. That'll give me 129,600. That's my total variable cost at that level of production. I can subtract that from the total cost, and I'll get my fixed cost, my estimated fixed cost. Remember, this is a method of estimating. So if I were to take the total cost, which was 388,800, subtract 129,600, my fixed cost then would be estimated to be 259,200. if we go on now to part number 2, it says, based on the information for part 1, estimate the total cost of 2,850 units of production. We can make that calculation. I'll need to take my $60 per unit, 2,850 times 60, $171,000. That would be the total variable cost associated with that level of production. I'll need to add to that my fixed costs, and the fixed cost would be $259,200. Add those together. Looks like $430,200 would be the answer for the production of the total cost for the production of 2,850 units.